that same reading, for reading your own writing, you start to realize errors you may not have seen.
Sometimes I feel things wrong. Other times, I amuse bad remarks. I can hear that the rhythm is disrupted when the comma is in the wrong place. Run-on sentences are a problem for many students. I always know when I have written one because it sounds like the computer needs to take a breath.
That always gets a giggle. Here's what's interesting. I had the fortunate opportunity to present in Cheyenne, Wyoming, at several schools in Cheyenne, and every single one of them, an auditorium full of students, laughed at that. The only way they could laugh at that is that they understood that there was a mistake, and they could hear it, and it occurred to me, why not ask? How many students in the class, how many students in this auditorium get accused of writing run-on sentences? The whole room. Everybody put it together. I get it. I make these mistakes, I can find them, I can fix them, I don't have to lose those grades anymore. Done. It's an amazing thing to start realizing that the students are actually completely capable of handling these things on their own. So they start to play. If it's spelled wrong, it's pronounced wrong. If the grammar's off, it sounds jumbled and confusing. If the punctuation's in the wrong place, you can hear it's disrupted. If there lacks punctuation, you can just hear it gets out of breath. And they very quickly start to identify and hear those in their own writing. What's really amazing about this is that as the students start peeling all of these problems, they're like layers of mistakes. As they start getting these out of their work, they start looking at their work and saying, yes, that sentence is exactly the way I wanted it. That's what I wanted when I wrote it, and I've changed my mind. I could better express myself if I take the end and put it over here. And, well, you know, I'm really, this is getting to be 2 sentences, so I should really divide this and explore this. And, oh, maybe there's this better idea. They've gone from writing in mechanics to actual expression of self. And that's where this gets when you start talking about writing being the new social currency and your writing being an expression of yourself. They have suddenly graduated from one level to another. And I see that in students as young as grade 2 and grade 3 on a regular basis. It's creepy. Go ahead.
You know, one of the things that the literature seems to say, and I hear from people, is that the students who have these writing problems don't type very well. And I recognize you're getting ready to talk about speech, but I mean, you also, and you and I talked that the speech is really kind of another part of it, not a solo part of it. So, what are your thoughts
when you
about
say
this?
write, they don't write very well, they don't type very well.
Writing is like you described.
Yeah.
But then they don't physically type well. And what are your thoughts about that? I don't think speech is a total replacement for it either.
Right.
Now, a couple of articles I'm looking at talk about they think the problem is the students with bad typists to begin with, and that doesn't give them a good feel for.
I honestly, I mean, it's maybe my answer's off point. Maybe it really is the point. I think students are learning to write and type at younger ages than we ever imagined. I mean, we used to joke about how by the time the kids do, I mean, he's PVRing his own shows, he's managing like this remote control is an extension of his body. When are we going to realize that's starting to happen with keyboards? I mean, it is happening, but I think it is an essential part of the communications of what's going on. I know my 5-year-old niece is getting very capable with a keyboard. She knows where the letters are. She's not struggling to find the letters. She's struggling to spell the words, and that's just a different problem than it was when I grew up. It's the exact opposite. So I am wondering. I have seen studies that suggested that the actual cognitive load of handwriting, the graphomotor control and the activity in the brain was just astronomical compared to what it was required for typing. So, I don't know.
What about using WordQ with an on-screen keyboard?
I would actually suggest with it. WordQ was actually developed at a rehab hospital as And then they decided, well, we need this sort of WordQ thing, and then all of their students with learning disabilities and dyslexia started using the word prediction and ignoring the on-screen keyboard.
I don't even think you were doing it.
No, that's fine, that's fine. They're all very good questions. The speech recognition, on the one hand, is messy. It requires a little bit more skill getting a student set up on it than the word prediction. This is bulletproof, I guarantee it. You can give this to a student and say nothing and just say, turn it on and start writing. And they will figure it out all by themselves. The speech recognition, however, is an entirely different skill that they've never seen before. This, if you think about it, is not that much different than how you automatically get a drop-down menu out of a Google search bar now. I mean, it kind of is what they expect. They see it, they know exactly what they're supposed to do with it. When we start talking about speech recognition, however, there is a common belief that speech recognition is I talk, you type, or I talk, it types. I just open my mouth and pages start falling out and all of my writing problems go away. And I am going to write the next great American novel. Ta-da!
Where did they go?
Yeah, I've never seen that work for a student. I have even, I work closely with a professor who is an avid fan of that kind of speech recognition. And he said, interestingly, the problem is not its accuracy, but your ability to speak accurately. It will now write exactly what you want it to do. Do you know what you want it to write? Well, not so much. See, the thing is that this isn't speech recognition. False. It is dictation recognition. And dictation is a skill. And it is not often highly possessed by the young. Think about it. Writing is more than pen to paper. Writing is about trying to take your ideas and crystallize them into exact specific wordings and being satisfied with it. With speech recognition, if you're trying to dictate entire sentences or paragraphs, do not open your mouth until you have figured out the end of the sentence. This was designed for a totally different purpose. You can use this for that, but it's not its strength. It's not exactly what it was used for. So some students will actually start using it the way I showed you for individual words, build up to phrases, and then start using it for sentences. It may be a stepping stone to more sophisticated tools. That's not what this was designed for. What this was designed for was really to allow a student an alternate way of getting a specific or individual word. So you saw me doing it before, maybe it's just worth me doing it again.
Can.
Alternate.
Alternate.
Where did you go? Oh, I turned off the word. Alternate.
Alternate. Alternate. Between. Using the
Speech recognition.
speech recognition. Speech and the
Word prediction.
word prediction. Word prediction. Prediction. I can alternate between using the speech recognition and word prediction.
I know how to spell can. I don't need something to reinvent that process. Fundamentally, the overall design of this program was not to change any student's habit. If a student knows how to type a word, type the word, it's so much faster. Students will actually wean themselves off of typing words they learn to type, or rather they learn to recognize and learn to spell, because it's just easier for them to type it than go to the word prediction. It's like one extra step. And that means that they're constantly using it for newer, more complicated words, and then moving back to using the typing for just the base words. Go ahead.
So when you're using the speech recognition component, it's dropping that into the word picture.
So